I think I'm much more comfortable speaking from here. Also, will feel a little more connected to the rest of the panel. Thank you so much. Following from what Mr. Srivastav you have said, a few things that come to me top of mind when we talk about, say, EVs. The very first thing, and today when you drive down, in most cities, especially in Delhi, suddenly you will see 2-3 EV charging stations. They're next to bus stops, they're on pavements. I have only ever seen one car being charged at one of these stations. Now, I don't know what that means. You know, this is again just anecdotal, and this is not data driven. But the very first thought that comes to my mind is, how has this been planned? Who has set this up? Why is it here? How do people with EVs know that they can charge their cars here? Is this the right place for it to be? How long does it take to charge? Is it working? Is it not? So a lot of these kind of questions come up. So the very first thought that comes is, if it's being done piecemeal, then I don't think we're going about it in the right way. It needs to be done as a more holistic town planning exercise, where you look at what your EV penetration is today, I think today, overwhelmingly, more than 90% of the EVs that we see are 2- and 3-wheelers. 4-wheeler and passenger and, cars are still, less than 10% of the total EV market in our country at least. How is this picture going to change 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years down the line, right? And then we do a very holistic plan for setting up these systems. Something else that comes to mind is, what is the safety profile of these charging stations? What happens when there's waterlogging? What happens? Are they theft proof? Those kind of questions come to mind. How do we create street side charging stations? We see them all over the place in Western Europe, and in large cities like in Delhi, in Mumbai, and other cities. Not everybody has charging facilities. They don't live in premises where they can charge within the house. They don't have garages, they don't have driveways. What kind of street side charging solutions can we provide them? There are apps, but how are we, as an EV user, I will probably have to download apps to see where these charging solutions are, what are we doing on highways for charging? I think Tesla, when they launched in the US, one of the things that they created, and the Tesla drivers were given, is where along the highways you can charge and how long it will take to charge. Then the whole point of moving to EVs is to reduce emissions. And so far from what I've read, I believe even if I'm doing a gray charging, which means I'm charging from thermal source, a thermal electricity, apparently the electric car is more efficient environmentally than an internal combustion engine. This is what I have been told from people from the automotive sector. But it would really be ideal to not charge my car using coal electricity, but using sustainable, green electricity, which is emissions free. What else needs to be done to make that happen 24/7? Let's understand, most of the vehicles will charge at night. We know that solar is not available at night. We know that wind energy is available at night only about 5 or 6 months of the year. What is happening to the night load pattern once the EV density goes up, especially in urban areas? And again, which is why I talk about the need for holistic solutions, because this will not be done by Ministry of Transportation or MIT, which is looking at EVs, or with Ministry of Power alone. It also needs to involve DISCOMs into doing their future planning to make for the future load management, especially at night. I saw an interesting thing, and we were talking offline when we were having tea about my visit to the Fraunhofer Institute. Among the things that they're researching there is also looking at, okay, when all the vehicles are charging at night, if there is a sudden spike in demand, and there are smart charging solutions. How do we prioritize electricity consumption? So what they have is, vehicles which subscribe to it can stop charging for a 15-minute period if suddenly the load has spiked. So this also helps manage the grid and balance that better. There are a number of other examples from countries which are further along the EV path from where we are. Of course, not all solutions work for India, but I think there is enough data that we can draw on, so we don't have to start from scratch to adapt best practices in this. On battery, I only want to say a couple of things. EVs are only going to be one use case scenario for batteries. Electricity and load management, especially when we're talking about using renewable sources like wind and solar, storage becomes a huge part of the solution there. Pumped hydro is not a panacea that will fit everywhere. There is no moving away from batteries. Today's technology is lithium ion and various types of lithium ion technologies that are there. We heard a lot about gigafactories coming up in India. Let's take a reality check of what was there on paper 4 years ago and how far have we come along in setting up of, lithium cell manufacturing. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really make lithium cells. That is imported. Even people who are battery manufacturers are importing lithium. That needs to change. The next decade does belong to lithium technologies. I know we are working on aluminum, air, and vanadium, and Lord knows what else in the periodic table. But it's about time that, we did more. We did more on R&D. Today, unfortunately, the entire sustainable energy story is built on assembly and not on manufacturing. And so you touched upon that point. Unfortunately, it's a very complex situation, and we keep chasing our own tail, but we're not seeming to really get anywhere in terms of developing real manufacturing, which will require real investment in R&D. And it's a very chicken egg situation, and that will require a conference on its own, so I'll not go there. And the last point I want to make is we talk a lot about lithium and recycling and the environmental damage and mining and everything else. I wonder sometimes if this just becomes an excuse for us to not invest more in these technologies. Because I would ask people, here and elsewhere, if the cost of lithium storage were to come down by 80% or 100%, would we still, and suddenly if we discovered availability of lithium in India, would we still be going down this direction and of dialogue, or would suddenly our attitudes change? So the question here is, are we looking at the cost and our inability to make, investments in technology and understand it? Are we looking at those and therefore coming up for reasons why we should not adapt? Or is it something else? Thank you so much.